Alright, it is episode 4. Episode 4 of the climb to 2200. We're at 2100. And alright, let's play the Caro Kann system against the English. We might just get an exchange Slav. Whoa, D3. Okay. Well, he's offering me the full center. If E4, D4, that looks pretty good to me. Yeah, this just seems like a very favorable position. I suppose if knight to f6, bishop g5 ideas exist. We could go bishop c5, though, setting up some traps. Yeah, that looks interesting. That looks interesting. Bishop c5, bishop g2, knight f6, bishop g5, bishop f2, king f2, knight g4 check, and I pick up the bishop, which I assume he notices. So he goes knight to f3. I don't really see an issue with knight c6. And this just seems like a favorable opening. I mean, we have the full center. Okay, now bishop out. Okay, let's just go bishop e6, providing some more support to d5. Now, I don't want to push because I open up this diagonal for him. If he goes e4, then I will push because then the diagonal is shut, right? So we don't want to overextend in the center. We want to leave our options open. In some positions, maybe e4 is a move to break on our terms, but d4 would be incredibly premature. And yes, we attack the knight. It's really not a big deal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's an argument to be made for d4 in this type of position, with this diagonal still weak, so queen a5 check is possible in some lines, but I don't think it's particularly strong. Okay. Alright, I guess he's threatening something like take, and take. So bishop back to b6 looks reasonable. Maybe bishop b6, knight a4, bishop c7, knight to c5 is annoying. So perhaps no, sorry, that doesn't work. How should we deal with this? Bishop d6. Yeah, let's tuck the bishop on d6, play something like rook c8, maybe bishop b8. I think we've done our job on this diagonal at this point, and I don't want knight to a4 to come with tempo on the bishop. And also, you know, it can't hurt to have this set up with the minor pieces, where the central pawns are just very well guarded. That's got to be decent. Okay. He's trying to win the d5 pawn again. So obviously the threat is, well, he doesn't even have to take, actually. Bishop to e7. Do I really have to go bishop e7? I think I do. That's okay, though. That's okay. Just so my queen opens up. And if take and take, then we have plenty of defense. It's not a big deal. I mean, I don't think timing is a massive problem. Really? I mean, I know the dark squared bishop isn't very good in these types of positions, but I feel like he should have waited for h6. I mean, I guess he wants to go knight d5, and he has a strong knight, which is fair enough, but I don't know how impressed I am with it, because can I not just take? Take, if knight b4, queen b3... Knight b4, queen b3, a5, a3, that's a problem. If take, knight e7, queen b3, queen d7, bishop g5 is also an idea. I could maybe go bishop g5 straight away. Although f4 is annoying. f4, take, bishop h6. It's interesting. I'm going to go for this, because I want a little bit of time to prepare bishop takes knight, and I don't want him to take my bishop, really. I'm not sure if this is the best course of action. It's very similar to like a King's Indian sort of structure. But I think our bishop is quite strong on this diagonal. I mean, there's plenty of useful squares that it's targeting. And, I mean, this knight still has no real good way out of the position. By delaying taking as well, we're discouraging queen to b3 because you'd be lining up with the bishop, which could be an issue. And also, queen b3 would abandon the defense of the knight. f5 isn't really a concern because I can always take and then maybe even put the knight on e5, which is potentially a good idea. Okay. Knight c4. Okay, well, if b5... I don't think there's any good discoveries on my knight. If knight b6, take, I just take. That should be good for us. If b5, knight to a3, that's probably the best thing for him to do. So what about rook c8? Don't love it. Take, knight e7. Now there's no queen b3. If queen f3... he does have control over d6, so he could even, instead of queen f3, he could just push. So maybe rook c8 followed by b5 is good to get rid of this knight so that he can't put anything on d6, right? Is there anything else useful? I think rook c8 is... I mean, it's always going to be a good move getting on this file anyway. Like, that can't be bad. Our d-pawn is fine, it's well protected for the time being, and there's no good way for white to target it. Unless he's going to put the queen on f2 or something, which feels a bit weird. The knight doesn't really have a way out of the position either. So these pawns are probably going to get doubled no matter what white does, and then that should leave him with many weak pawns. So in the long run, probably favours us, but there's a lot of chess left to be played. A lot of chess left to be played. It's an interesting position after something like b5, knight a3, take, knight e5, because if take, the rook hangs, because the bishop opens up. Okay, if a6 preparing b5, then he can play knight b6, so that's no good. He's not threatening a7. I think he's just trying to stop pawn b5. Okay. And also, if take and I move the knight, then a7 does hang. Makes sense. Makes sense. a6, knight b6. That's just no good, is it? My rook is all but trapped. I tried to put the rook back on b8 to force b5 through, which isn't ridiculous. Does leave the knight very vulnerable. If bishop d7, looking for discoveries on the queen, probably just queen a3. Oh no, because then I can play b5. Ooh, maybe this is a good move. Maybe queen d7? Is there any useful discoveries? Don't think so. Take. Knight e7. He still has pawn d6. And b7 and a7 are super weak. I don't like that. I think bishop d7 is a fine move. Well, does it actually threaten anything, though? Maybe not. Maybe f5 is interesting. Because you can't push the pawn because I win the knight. Although, am I really going to take? I mean, pressure on... Yeah, I'm going to play f5. I like f5. I want to try to open the position up for my bishops. I think that's a good call. The computer may say I'm an idiot, but also, this is 10-minute rapid with no increment, so even if it's not the best move in the world, I need to make a move, because I don't have increment. I need to move. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. knight e4 is... Sorry, knight e5 is obviously never an issue because I can always take, and these discoveries are going to be an issue. He can take my rook first, I suppose, but even so, I don't think that's particularly impressive. Also, the knight would... No, sorry, the knight wouldn't hang. What am I on about? Queen b5, okay. Not a move I considered. Interesting. So now the knight is defended well. He could push e5 or take, theoretically. If a6, queen b7... a6, queen b7, knight a5, queen a6... No, sorry, the knight covers. That's no good. That's no good. If take... That's no good. Knight e7... Nah, don't like it. What about a simple queen d7? Just defending. I don't think I'm walking into tactics. Also, I just need to move. Just defending. Now, maybe a6 can be played because it comes with tempo, but there is queen b6. It is queen b6, but it is a possibility because there's no time for knight b6. Although even if I play a6 b5, he can still go knight b6. So yeah, I need to leave the a pawn where it is. I need to leave the a pawn where it is. Now he can go pawn e5. Although if he goes pawn e5, I don't have knight takes e5, queen takes d7, knight takes d7 because there's knight to e7 check at the end of the line. Picking up my rook. Well, the exchange. Queen c5, what is that? What does that do? Oh, he's trying to play this. Okay, that makes sense. Let's just defend. If I move the knight with some kind of discovery, he can pick up the d4 pawn. Also worth noting. And if knight to e5, he can also play knight takes e5. And if I take the queen, he can take my queen. So I don't think there's any good discoveries. But the queen is certainly in an odd spot. We could even try pawn g6 and reroute the bishop back into the game this way. And you can always go back to h6. Okay, queen trade. Well, obviously I can't accept that. So let's try and trade on my terms. This is so weird. He's like just maneuvering his queen right into my position. His past 4 moves have literally been queen a4, queen b5, queen c5, queen d6. That's hilarious. I think in the long run, we should be better. Like, if the queens come off the board, we have to be better. Like, bishop pair. This knight is still stranded. This is still going to be an issue. And d3 is very weak. f4 is very weak. I think we should be better if queens come off the board. I mean, if he retreats out of the position, he just admits his plan was silly. I maybe go... do I? Do I go pawn g6? Do I take on d5? Do I take on e4? Queen c5, take. Yeah, I got to move the knight and then I lose the d4 pawn. So, probably not. Also, the knight has no amazing moves. I don't want to trade the d4 pawn for the d5 pawn, I don't think. Whoa, what a move. Knight c7. Wow. So if take... Take. Rook e7. Knight b7, that doesn't work, I don't think. Maybe it does, because my bishop is under attack. Wait, can't I just take the knight? No, because take and my rook hangs. Wow, that's complicated. I think I might just go rook e7 to keep things simple. Just step out of the way. It's a hell of a move, though. He's just putting his pieces right in my territory. But the question is, are they actually dangerous? And I'm hoping the answer is no. They're more so just a nuisance. It's a super interesting position. Come on, what have we got? Knight c5, and the game goes on. Game goes on. We are doing fine. Doing absolutely fine. Probably take on e4 next. And try to expose the f4 pawn. This looks good. d3 is weak. We've got to play quickly, though. We are down on time, and remember, there is 0 increment. If d takes, I mean, this looks pretty bad. Yeah, bishop takes makes sense. I'm expecting... Well, no, sorry, you can't go pawn f5. The rook hangs. Okay, how do you defend then? I don't see a good way of defending. You could try and take here, and then go after the d4 pawn. Or do that. I completely missed that. I've got to be careful of back ranks. Oh, I've got to be really careful. I think I can trade into a drawn endgame. I think there's a way to do it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. Let's find out. Oh, can't I just do this? Or that, I completely missed that. Oh, this isn't looking good. I've also got no time. I think this might be lost. Might be lost. How have I messed this up so badly? Yeah, I think I'm just losing. Because if I take, then rook c8 check. I don't know if there was another line I could have gone for. I mean, yeah, it's just game over. I have nothing. Just goes rook c8, and he picks up the rook, and then I'm down a whole rook. Damn, okay. Well, where did we go wrong there? Because it felt like everything was going pretty well. This is fine. This is fine. But I need to go rook b7. So, that... See, I didn't think I could go rook b7 because of bishop to c6. I thought after rook here check, here I was getting mated. I completely missed the fact that I have king to f8. I completely missed this move. And then if check, then king e7, and I'm fine. If anything, I might be better because of how active my rook is, and the f-pawn is also falling. So this is probably a 2-result game. Okay, that's very annoying. I mean, the opening itself looks pretty damn good. Yeah, the engine really likes this. We're playing this pretty perfectly. Here, I should take. Go knight e7. I thought he could go for this, and I thought that this was no good. And I'm correct in saying that, because bishop takes, queen takes, knight b6 is a problem. All those types of ideas. But the engine wants b5, which I didn't see, or knight g6, and after queen here, b5. And let's say the knight moves, then take, and then we win f4, and we have good pressure. I didn't see that, but this is still good. Apparently here I should be taking and knight e7. Why is that so strong? Wait, why is this so strong? Okay, let's say the knight moves. What's the point? Okay. And then the rook moves. a6. Keeping hold of the knight. Oh, it's queen g5? Ah, yeah. This is a big issue. I didn't see that. Here, okay, he should have just gone knight d6. And on b6, counter-attacking, queen a3 holds on to the knight, and I have no good way of avoiding the fork. He went queen d6. I went rook d8. Here. Bishop c4 is the best move here. I saw bishop c4. I couldn't figure out what was happening in this position. I missed the fact the knight is trapped. The knight's completely trapped. I didn't see that. So let's say take... Oh, also the rook is hanging. I also didn't see that. So if this, fe4, the knight can't get out, this is completely game over. I went rook e7. Knight take, queen take, knight take, rook take. I played this, and yeah, we already went through this, so that's an annoying loss. Still happy with how I played for the most part, but I do need to move quicker. Okay, Scandinavian. Bishop g4. Okay, yeah, so this is what I like to play against the Scandi. Literally just getting castled as quickly as possible. Going for this very passive-looking setup, but we want to play c4 with tempo on the queen. Now, let me just check. This is good. Queen c4, queen h5, pawn d4. Take. Yeah, that's fine. I think we can go for this. If, let's say, queen f5, pawn d4, take, knight take. Is that a problem? Pawn d4, take, knight take. My bishop, sorry, is under attack. Oh, maybe this was premature. h3, take. I think we probably have knight g5. I don't think that's an issue. But he can always just retreat the bishop or play h5 and we gain nothing. Here. Oh, sorry, we have bishop g4. Oh yeah, of course, this is fine. We have bishop g4 at the end of the line, and that pins the queen to the king. I knew we could go for this, and this is kind of the idea behind this setup, where we delay knight c3, and we instead go pawn to c4 to kick the queen away, and my opponent seems to have fallen for the trap. Very nice. Very, very nice. Of course, neither of these discoveries on our queen work, because we can just take them with the queen, and he still has the same issue of his queen being pinned to his king. So that's a very nice opening trap. And I think I've never played this opening trap before, because I don't think I've actually seen it before. As in, like, I haven't realized it existed previously. But that is very strong, and I would probably assume that it's quite a common trap for black to fall into in this particular line. But okay, as we found out in the previous episode, even if we win a queen, the game is not over. We still need to keep fighting. So knight c2 is an issue, going after the rook, and also our queen is under attack, of course. However, we don't need to panic. I think we can just go queen h3. Because if knight c2, then queen takes f5 comes with check, and we pick up the knight. So we don't need to panic. If black plays a move like e6 to defend the pawn, then we can deal with knight c2. We can't go queen c3 because of knight to e2 check, picking up the queen. If knight e2 check here, just king h1 and there's no follow-up. That's not an issue. but we do need to be careful. So knight c3 would be nice to cover the e2 square. If e6, knight c3, knight c2, I'm kind of tempted to go for that line and just give him the exchange to get rid of his most active piece. And I mean, in that position, we'd still be up plenty of material. We'd have a queen for a rook, wouldn't we? So yeah, I'm just going to give him the exchange if he wants it. I don't care. We're up, again, a queen for a rook in that line. Currently, we're up a queen for a bishop. So yeah, he doesn't want it. I'm going to encourage him to go for it. But now we can just go rook d1, so it doesn't even work anyway. And we're fully developed now. Black has 2 pieces out, and he's down a queen for a piece. Yeah, that's a pretty nice trap against the Scandinavian. I might actually check in the Lee Chess database as to how common it is for black to fall into that trap, because I'm very, very interested now. Okay, let's just take then. Let's make the knight take my bishop, just to trade more pieces, because of course that's good. Let's win a pawn. Kind of confused as to why black is playing on at this point. There is no hope. Rook e1 is nice, because on rook e8, I'll just take it. And then we'll be up a rook. And here, let's just go knight d5, offering more trades. If knight to e4, probably we just sack. Yeah, and here we'll take. We could take the bishop. I might actually take the bishop. I was going to play king to f1, and on king to d7, I was going to take and just play this endgame, because if black has no pieces, he can't do anything, right? It doesn't matter that we were up a queen for a piece. Being up a knight in an endgame is completely winning, because there's so many pawns on the board. So that was a very nice trap. I'm just going to check the Lee Chess database about that. Okay, so it turns out, after c4, the best move is queen d7. I don't know if you can see the Lee Chess board. No, you can't really. The best move is queen d7, but it's not very common. Against queen d7, though, our position is very difficult because we just can't play d4. So better is h3, and if bishop h5, to play knight c3. But the whole point is to like not have to play that. The engine does recommend this, interestingly, and then knight d2. This looks odd. Queen a4 defending the knight. Pawn b3. Okay. That's interesting. And I mean, if h3 and take, that should be clearly good for us. But okay. c4, queen f5, d4. And here, the most common move actually is this. And falling for the trap. It's the most common continuation. A better continuation, though, is knight d4. And after knight d4, bishop e2, queen e2, rook here, bishop e3, something like rook d7, knight c3, and this is a very interesting position. Black is slightly better. Better is pawn c5, but I don't know, it looks a bit odd to me. If c6, oh, I suppose, yeah, b4 makes sense. And if this, going after the rook, we can just ignore it. Apparently, although this... Oh, we have queen c6. Okay, yeah, that's clearly winning. But okay, my opponent took and then fell for the trap. And here, I was very happy with queen h3. You can't go knight c2 because of queen f5. So e6 has to be played. And then we can allow this because I'm just going to go bishop e3. And if he takes, that's fine by me. Because I don't care. Like, I'm up a queen for a rook. He went h6, which I couldn't really understand. So, yeah, I just invited him in, traded all the pieces. And here, I liked rook e1 because on rook e8, I'm just going to play take, king here. I don't know, f4, king here, take, king f2, and win the endgame. which is effectively what we got, and my opponent resigned. So let's jump into a third game. All right. We need to get back over 2100 because we need to get to 2200. All right, Sicilian. We had a Mengarini in the last video, I think, and just completely stomped the opponent. Wait, was it that? There was one video where we just won instantly using the Mengarini. And this is one of the other Gambit lines, where instead of knight c6 and knight takes b4, it's e6 and bishop takes b4. And here we get this very nice structure, which I really, really enjoy. It gives us incredible attacking opportunities with the bishops and the queen. So here, after like queen g4, how do you defend g7? It's unclear. It's unclear how you defend g7. If king f8, well, you can't castle, so how does this rook get into the game? It's probably the best move, though. I think king f8 is the best move. There's also g6, of course. And then we just continue developing. We don't need to do anything crazy. We can just play bishop d3, knight f3, castle. We can go h4, h5 if we want, because h4 baits h5, queen g3, and then there could be ideas of sacrificing in certain positions. The king can run to d7, though, which we need to be aware of. Okay, but here my opponent does it voluntarily. So g6 could be a target. h5 is normally played so that knight to h6 can be played, guarded by the rook, whereas previously that, of course, couldn't be played because my bishop would have just taken it. I think we can kind of ignore this, though, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's a big deal. And then I believe we should be taking to ruin the structure a bit. And then, you know, d5 is weak. e6 can be played in some lines to free up the e5 square. There's also ideas of bishop g5, which I think is a good move. Because the idea is, if take-take, then our knight is just a bit of a monster on the g5 square. And without the dark square bishop, there's no good way to get rid of the knight. And then we can just support it with h4 or f4. Probably h4. Probably h4. And then d5 is still weak. b7 could be weak. a7 could be weak. And we could potentially get into the dark squares on d6. Yeah, I wasn't too concerned about this move, to be honest. I thought we could just go queen f4. And on h3, just g3. Again, I wasn't really concerned. Because I still think we can castle into that. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, how is this queen ever getting to g2? Like, it's just not going to happen. This diagonal is completely shut. It's never, ever opening. Unless I open it with c4, which I could just not do. So, and yeah, I think knight a3, knight b5, knight d6 is a big threat, which could be difficult for black to handle. Okay, let's see what he does. Let's see what he does, though. Rook h5. That's a good move. I didn't consider that. I don't think it solves the issue, though. Let's go knight to a3 with the threat of knight b5, knight d6. I mean, maybe it's not a threat. g5. That is aggressive. Wow. Okay. Let's pull back to e3. With g4, I guess we just drop back to d2. I mean, we don't have to castle kingside. We haven't committed to that yet. We have not committed to that. Now, we have traded off both of our bishops, which is worth noting. But that could actually be useful, because I think we're clearly going to be playing on the dark squares in this position. And black doesn't have a dark squared bishop. He has a light squared bishop. But his light squared bishop isn't a particularly good piece, because all of his pawns are on light squares. All of his central pawns, anyway. Also, he can't stop knight b5 with pawn a6, because if pawn a6, we go knight b5, and if you take the knight, then of course the rook hangs on a8, which is a very common idea in this system. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, I don't think F4 is that big a deal. I mean, he can get G4 in, but I don't know. I just move the knight, and if pawn G3, I just take. So, well, yeah, probably. I could go queen D2. No, that doesn't make sense. Queen E2? Yeah, I like queen E2, actually. Because on G4, knight D2, you can't go G3 because your rook hangs. F3 makes no sense. C4 could be an issue. Knight B5 could be an issue. I mean, all these pawn moves look very aggressive, and I have to admit, I don't think I've ever seen anybody deal with this opening in this manner, as in throwing all the pawns at me. I don't think I've ever seen this before. But F3... Oh no, if F3, then H3, actually. That's annoying. But I mean, what can black do? If G3, you lose the rook. If F3, I take, and take. And I'm just better, I assume. This is hanging, and I'm completely safe. I can use the G file, probably. So F3 is off the cards, G3 is off the cards. If H3, I'd probably just go G3. And if take, I'd just castle with the open F file. And if H3, G3, F3, that looks no good. That is a move. That is a move. Okay, if take, then rook take. Huh. Did not even see that. Okay, game on. Queen B5. I mean, the knight can just move if nothing else. If here, I can take. Bishop here. It's still complicated. Also, there's discoveries on my king, so that's probably not any good. I could go king D1. Just moving the king. Maybe I'm setting myself up for problems. If I castle, that feels wrong. King F1 feels wrong. Castle queenside, I lose the knight. That's a hell of a move. The knight E4 doesn't help if I take, because he just takes with the rook, so. King D1. What happens if he just returns? What happens if he just goes back? Do I have any play? Because he's offering me a queen trade, which I don't think I can accept. Although, maybe rook E1 is a threat. Queen B5? Then my knight can't go to B5, though. Knight E5 is a great move. Wow. Wow. Can I go F3? Don't know. What happens if I do castle kingside? Let's consider that. If knight C6, king D3, threatening rook E1 ideas. If G3, H3, I think I'm okay. I'm gonna castle. Oh my god, I think I just blundered my F3. Yeah, that's not good. I'm going down the exchange. Knight F3, GF3, Queen E2, Rook E1. Pawn F3, Knight F3. Queen E1, Rook E1. That's no good. King F8. I don't have enough play. Don't have enough play. The question is, does he see knight F3? I think probably. That's a move I didn't consider. I forgot my queen was undefended. I mean, what else could I do in that position? I don't know. I mean, I can't accept the knight. Because I don't even get a rook and a knight for the queen. I get a knight for the queen, which is obviously not enough. Okay, he doesn't see it. That's very lucky. That's very, very lucky. Knight f3 probably ends the game on the spot. Something to be said for... No, queen d1 can't be it. Taking looks no good. I mean, I get knight b5, but it's not that impressive. The king probably can sit on d7 and be fine. I mean, maybe knight b3, knight c5, but b6 should deal with that. Queen b5 I don't like because then my knight can't go to b5. And I'm not actually threatening anything. Queen d3 does bishop f5. But then if bishop f5, maybe then I can go to b5. No, the queen defends b7 though. I do threaten d5. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So, I'm very lucky my opponent missed knight f3 check. But I'm definitely not out of the woods. I think it makes sense for him to try and put his king on g7. I mean, maybe not immediately. But I think that's probably where the king is safest. He also has to deal with rook e1. I mean, he has bishop e6, but yeah, he goes for it now. c4 looks strong. You can't take because I win your rook. I also can't really take, though, because then rook takes. I'm going to start with rook e1, which, you know, can't be a bad move. And then maybe I can prepare c4 with some ideas of playing like take, 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 take. I don't know if it works, but, you know. Let's see. Let's see. This is not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. To be down 2 pawns, have these pawns staring at my king. Yeah, king f8 looks like a good move. We can still go c4, though. I mean, c4 is an active move. I could go c5, trying to really put pressure on b7, because it makes it very hard for it to advance. Not to mention the knight hangs, but c5 looks very interesting, although I am hanging this. Okay, well, not now because of this. Was there an issue with him taking? I don't think so. I think maybe I just hung the pawn, but... Okay. Well, now taking makes no sense. He still can't take me, because I'll take his rook. But he can take d4. So knight c2 might make sense, just defending. Looks passive, though. Maybe bishop f5. c5 knight takes. I'm going to go knight c2. I'm a bit concerned about bishop f5. Because if I take, he can take. If I take... Rook d8, I can win a7, rook d7. Feels losing still. Because b7 survives. And I think he might be up 2 pawns there. Rook f5. Well, no, now I can play c5. Now this is interesting. Now this is interesting. He can't play knight d4 with a discovered attack on my queen, because I can play knight d4 defending my queen. So that's not a problem. b7 is very weak. Maybe I just want to play the simple rook b1, or rook e to b1, more accurately, and just put as much pressure as I possibly can on the A and B files. This knight kind of isn't participating in the game, but it can come to f1 and potentially be good for defense. My opponent is also getting low on time, and remember, there's no increment, which is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Yeah, 1 minute 40 is not very long for the rest of the game. I mean, we got 320, which should be more than enough. I mean, by my standards, maybe not, but let's play quickly. Let's play quickly. I really do think the bishop belonged on the f5 square, but I'm not going to complain. Okay. Now you can take maybe knight b3, knight a5 to try and weaken a7. If a6. Okay. Well, we kind of have to go for this. I am opening up the H file though, which is not good. I think I have to take with the F pawn. Could potentially put the knight on e3. I'm not sure how much it accomplishes. F2. Yeah, I was concerned about this, trying to bring the queen over. Knight e3, rook h5. This looks pretty dire. Okay, let's try to defend. Whoa, what is that? Oh, maybe he wants to go queen h7. He's low on time. Bishop f5. No, pawn f5. Well, that hangs this. Let's take it. We might be back in this now. No, knight f2 blocks my rook's defense. Knight e5, knight e5, fe... Sorry, d5. f4. Oof, this is still very difficult. Knight a5, take, take, take. That's no good. I don't like this. f4 is coming. Maybe I just take? Dunno. No, I'm going to go for this. Trying to create counterplay. I mean, maybe I'm just losing after rook over. I can try to run, but I don't think it's going to work. Here, 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 here. I mean, where's my counterplay? I just don't really have any, do I? I might just be lost, but I'm going to try not to lose all my material. Queen f3 is a big threat. Wait, could I have played this earlier? Oh, I could have gone queen f3. What am I doing? I could have just gone queen f3. Let's take the h file. There's no time as well. I think I'm winning. Nice. Nice. Let's go. Oh my god. That was a time scramble and a half. That was a time scramble. Wow. Yeah. I think in this position, I can just go queen f3 and I'm okay. King g8 is the only move. And here I can go c6, because if rook h1, I just sack the queen. Take, take, take. And if take, rook b8, rook a8, threatening. If the king marches up the board, I still take. Oh, no, I take with this rook and the queen's trapped. The queen is trapped on the first, on his, oh, sorry, her second files, first and second files. That's nuts. Okay, I want to go to the opening and have a quick look. Because after h5... Okay, so queen f3 is apparently better. Or queen f4. Why is queen f3 better? Does this not... Knight's going here? And if knight f5? Not taking, but castles. Interesting. And it wants to bring this knight to f4. Okay. Knight f5. Taking is wrong. I need to go queen f4. Okay. I'll note that for the future. Here I need to go for the immediate h4, which makes sense because he got a big attack, and I just didn't... I didn't know this was a thing. I mean, I'm still okay. Queen e3 is wrong, though. Queen d2 is the move. And if g4... See, I didn't go queen d2 because I thought the knight had to go here, but the computer wants to put it back on g1, and it thinks this is playable. Sorry, not g3. That's horrible. h3, g3, and I don't mind this personally. f6, knight 2. I mean, this is still complicated, though. Yeah, this is still very weird. I mean, if e4, I'm apparently winning, but... Anyway, queen e3, f4, g4, and yeah, knight e5 I completely missed. And of course, I can't take because of rook takes and I lose the queen. Castles, my opponent missed knight f3. Here I would have been completely lost because I just don't get enough material. Something like take, 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 king f8, and I simply am down the exchange and 2 pawns. I'm completely lost. But he misses it, which gives us a chance. And we created some good counterplay, I think. c4 is dubious, but he is low on time. Queen here, knight here. I thought he could take. Yeah, he can take. He absolutely can. The computer initially missed it, but yeah, knight d4 is winning. Fortunately, he didn't find it. I brought the knight back. There's also knight e4, which is crazy, because if take the rook hangs, and if knight takes here, take, take, knight f6. Wow, okay. Knight c2, though. Rook to f5, c5, king over, and here I thought I had good play. Okay, apparently knight b4 is the way to go. But this just admits that you're worse. I'm just admitting that I'm worse. I mean, obviously I'm worse, but, like, I need to fight, not just capitulate. So, okay. f3, g3, take, take. H takes, and you just lose on the spot, I think. Yeah, just rook h5, and I lose immediately. My king's in a box. I need the f2 square to run to, which we used later on. I was expecting pawn f2 here. I was a bit confused why he didn't play it. But he didn't. He went f6, which I thought he was going to bring his queen over. Rook over, rook f2, king up, queen back. Here I thought he was going to go bishop f5, and I was just going to move my queen somewhere to, like, d2. That was my plan. And then if he went over here, I'll just try and fight, I guess. I'll try my best. But f5 was strange. Knight g4 is the best move, and I'm equal. King over. Here I have... Excuse me? Sorry. Oh my... no. I saw queen f3 and I was confused. But no, there's queen f3. And we have threats. And the pawn is pinned. I completely missed this. It's pretty obvious. I played knight e5, which is still okay. Knight e5, de5. And here again, I just need to take... We both completely missed this idea. And yeah, like, I don't know, king g6. Knight d4 is the best move, but I'd probably play queen f4 just to get rid of the pawns, and this is completely winning. Black has no pawns to batter down my defenses now. But okay. Knight d4... Sorry. I took on e5. He went f4. Knight to d4 is the best move. Take. Again, I just need to take on f3. Okay, why did I just do that? I just need to take on f3. That's all I need to do. I completely missed this idea yet again. If king here defending, queen f6, and knight e6. But yeah, I took, and my opponent went rook h8. Again, I just need to take. I played rook ab1, which is the second best move, ensuring the rooks are defending each other. And I should have taken on f3 with a king. No, king e3 is slightly better. I thought that taking was silly because maybe bishop g4, and apparently I have to king f4 here, which is just way too complicated. I mean, I don't want this. So king e3, he takes, and I take on h2, which is the only winning move. Rook b1 is no good. I mean, it's drawing, but rook h2 is winning. Because I have this threat, and I have this threat. So my opponent gives a check, I come back with tempo on the rook, take with the knight, pawn takes, and then I win the queen, and then, as long as I don't run out of time, then we're all good. Whew. I'm going to play one more game. This is very interesting. We're definitely playing against some very strong opponents, which is making this quite fun. Alright, Vienna, let's go. Hopefully you guys like this format and the longer episodes, by the way. Please let me know your opinions. As opposed to the normal 15 plus 10 and just playing one game. Maybe we can do 15 plus 10 with 2 games. Maybe. Okay. Main line. Queen f3. My opponent probably knows the theory. So here, f5 and knight c6 are the best moves. You can take on c3. It's slightly subpar, but you can play it. We'll see what he goes for. I'm expecting knight c6. And then we go bishop b5. No, he takes. Okay. Oh, this is not good. I think this is already, like, plus 0.8, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Okay, bishop d3. What? No, that's ridiculous. That's a horrible move. A horrible move. He's just wasting his time. I'm just going to ignore him. He can trade bishops with me if he wants. I don't care. His king is completely exposed. Bishop h3, I just go rook f2. Why is the bishop over there? In fact, if bishop h3, I probably have this, this, and this. Yeah, the knight on c6 is useless. It can't do anything. All it can do is come to e7 and try to defend. Better is c5. Is this not just game over? What am I missing? I threaten checkmate. I threaten the bishop. 2150 completely misplaying the Vienna. Completely misplaying it. That's nuts. I mean, I've seen it many times at this sort of rating, but to have it while I'm recording, because obviously I play a lot of Blitz in my own time. Okay, I completely missed that move. Okay, I should shut up. I mean, I'm still winning. Knight f4 looks very strong. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? No, I'm going to go knight f4. I like that move. I'm happy with this trade. I can probably sack on h6. In fact, I can probably play h4, kicking the bishop away, and then look to sack on f6. Sorry, h6. There has to be sacrifices. I mean, I just have so many pieces pointed at the enemy king. It's a bit crazy. Literally all but one of my pieces. And black has, let's say, 3 defenders, sort of. 97. 96. Take. Black is lost. I mean, if take, you actually just get mated. Sorry. Is this not losing? If knight e6... Oh, fe6 is interesting. Offering a queen trade. Take. I could take on f8. The king can take. Okay, let me think. What about bishop here? Bishop here? No. What about h4? If you take my knight, that looks pretty bad. If bishop e7... Take, bishop g6. I don't know. I don't know. It feels like a crucial moment. I feel like we have a win. We just need to find it. Here. Knight e6. If bishop a3, we take on f8. If take. We're just going into a slightly favorable position. I want a winning position, though. h4. If take, that's got to be losing. Let's go h4. I think bishop e7 is forced. And we don't have to take the knight. Sorry, the bishop. We don't have to take it. We could slow play the position. No way. I'm tempted to even take with the g-pawn. Maybe it is f5, though. Offering a queen trade. Maybe that's the whole point. If bishop takes, pawn f6, well, then I have bishop g6. If bishop takes pawn f5, that's more difficult. That's a very, very clever idea, pawn f5. Very clever. I think I'm going to go rook takes. Yeah, f5 is very intelligent. Yeah, he goes for it. Because it blocks bishop g6, and I can't take on passant because my queen hangs. That's very nice. Okay, what if I just come back? g5's a problem. Okay, if I trade queens and go bishop a3. So let's say take, bishop a3, rook f7, double up, prepare g4. That's interesting. The knight is horrific. Let's do that. If he takes with this rook, I just win f5, so let's go bishop a3. I think bishop a3 makes sense. I mean, I feel like that's the most useful square for the bishop. h5 is interesting. Stopping g6. Because if rook a to f1, pawn g6, pawn h5, pawn g5. Can play for f4. I think I'm going to go for this. I can always defend it if I need to. Knight e7. It's an interesting move. I mean, I take away the g6 square. Yeah, I wasn't concerned about knight a5. Because I thought I could just come here. Knight c4. Oh, maybe that is a good idea. If bishop b4, then pawn a5. If bishop c5, then pawn b6. If bishop c1, then rook f8. I don't think I can stop it, so let's just deal with it. Let's just deal with it. Knight c4. Take doesn't seem to work. Drop the bishop back. We're covering all the knight's forward movement, so I'm not concerned about infiltrations. Rook f8. Well, rook e to f8. Clearly the move. Making it so g4 isn't very good. And also I'm not winning the pawn. At least not yet. How do I do this? Does bishop e2 g4 make sense? I don't know. Maybe I bring my king up? As weird as it looks. I'm not sure black can move a whole lot. I mean, c5 doesn't really do anything. What do I play? g4 he just takes. That's no good. Bishop h7 doesn't work. Trying to deflect the king. I think I might just slow play this and massage the position and see what we can get. I'm not concerned about c5. No, now I can go g4. That looks like a terrible move. Now you're losing. Yeah. En passant. Take. I think maybe pawn e6 wins. I think pawn e6 wins. Because the bishop is pinned, so the bishop can't take. You take my bishop. Take your rook. If you take my rook, I'll take your other rook. If you move your rook, I go e7. If you step away from the e-file, let's say, I mean, how would you even do this? If you step away from the e-file, you just lose f5. So that's no good. No good. Yeah, this was completely lost for black. I think black maybe could have held on if he just did literally nothing. But that's so hard to do in chess, to just do nothing. Yeah, he goes for this line, but I think this is completely winning. There's something to be said for rook g1. King over and rook takes. That might even be the strongest line. Although that feels completely unnecessary. Or I could do it with this rook. I don't think it matters, but King h7 is the only move. That's kind of a cool thing, though. Like, I'm down a piece, but everything in the black position is hanging. I'm sure rook takes f7 was also winning, if you're wondering. Pawn takes, not winning. But rook takes was probably winning, but this feels more winning to me. So rook f7, you're forced to trade with me. Your bishop is hanging, and you literally can't stop the promotion. There's no way to stop it. There's no kind of stalemate nonsense, because black has way too many pieces on the board, and my opponent resigns. So, damn, that was a great way to end it. Let's have a quick game review on that. And then I'll let you guys get on with your days. If you've made it this far, by the way, you're an absolute legend. So, yeah. This is, of course, the Vienna, and, well, the Vienna Gambit. You have to go c5 here with black. You have to try to challenge me. And after knight to e2, c4 looks like it traps the bishop, but we have bishop to f5, and we're much better. But you have to try to put pressure on the center like this. Even so, we are completely fine. And like castling is very dangerous because, as we saw in the game, we have so many pieces pointed at the king. But my opponent goes bishop h4, g3 is clearly the move. The engine likes taking on g5, but I felt no need. I wasn't concerned. Castles is a mistake. Castles, knight c6 is also a mistake because you need to play c5. This has to be played. But knight c6, queen h5. I completely missed pawn at h6, which is the only move. Knight f4 is the best move. Awesome. Queen e8. Here, knight e6 is winning. I thought we could do this. Rook f8, king f8. I saw this line. Oh, we get bishop g6. Queen e7. Take, check. King g8. Bishop f7. King h7, take. And yeah, this is game over. I think I missed the bishop f7 idea. But yeah, h4 is a miss. I'm still better, though. Rook takes. The engine prefers g takes. I thought f5, though. And then I was like, after take, what am I doing? Here. Still wants h5. If king h7, king f2, pawn g6, take. I think this is much better for white according to the engine, but it's unclear how we're going to break through. So I preferred rook takes, because after f5, only move. If f6, I thought bishop g6 was strong, but there's actually bishop f7. So it's better to play take. I assume take, and then bishop h6. So f5. Engine wants queen f3. I thought g5 was an issue. Take. This is mate in 7. I didn't see that. Oh, is it because the bishop comes to a3? Oh, no, it's because e6 hangs. Oh, duh. I missed that. Okay, rook a2, e8. Bishop a3, rook f7. h5 is a mistake. I need to go immediately for this. I thought you could go pawn g6, though. g4? Why is this so good? Take. Oh, you can't go to f8, of course. Bishop, rook c8. And I mean, we have all the activity. And I mean, here the best move is knight d8, which is effectively a resignation because you just can't move anything. Pawn h5 is inaccurate. Knight a5 is the only move. Only move. Everything else loses because everything else is too slow. Let's say you go a6, rook a to f1, and you can't defend. You just can't defend. So you have to go knight a5. So after rook a to f1, you have knight c4. So I have to move the bishop. And if I take, then I can't win the pawn, and the opposite colour bishop should be a draw. d5 makes no sense, because yes, you can win the f5 pawn, but like your pawns are horrific. As in, the white pawns are horrific. So bishop c1 is forced. And then you can play rook to f8, and you can survive. And I thought this was probably a draw, but, like, black can't do anything. Like, b6, king h3, c5 is inaccurate, apparently. King h4, not the best move, but, like, I don't really care. My long-term plan, if black did nothing, literally nothing. Here I can go g4. Because... Wait, what's the idea? Just king g4. And, like, I have all the pressure. So, essentially, none of these pieces can move. If the knight goes back to a5... No, you can do that. Okay, let's say you just shuffle the knight, then. I figured g4 was going to happen at some point. I thought I could maybe go bishop e2, g4. So, again, let's say the knight keeps shuffling. I thought I could try to go for g4 in this position. The engine says it's a draw, but I don't know. I thought there could be something. Like bishop g4, rook f4, rook f4. Sorry, I could take on e6 there. Let's say bishop g4, king g4, and this is apparently winning after all the trades. So I felt like I had some play. I mean, like knight a3 going after this, it's just no good. But king h7 makes g4 available immediately because the pawn is pinned. g5 is a valiant effort, but hg6, king g6, gf5, bishop f5, rook g1 is also good, followed by e6, but e6 is the main idea. And if you move the rook to f6, then I was just going to go e7. And if you move the rook to f7, I just promote. And if you move away, then I just win the bishop. So my opponent played bishop d3, which I thought was a good try. I was initially going to go for this line, where I'm up at an exchange, then I can't move because it's dominated by my bishop. I still don't really know how you're going to stop the promotion. Yeah, how do you stop the promotion? Bishop e2, e7. Oh, knight d6. But, you know, this is still completely losing, obviously. But rook to g4 is far more accurate. Take, and you can't stop me from promoting. The engine actually wants me to promote to a knight, but I felt like that would be disrespectful. So, yeah, my opponent resigns. Very, very interesting game. And we are up to 21-17. So, what, 83 more points to go? Let's see if we can get it done in the next episode. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I mean, if you stuck around 1 hour 16, either you left the video on while you're falling asleep, in which case, fair enough, I do that as well. My mate used to do that as well at university. Well, I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah, previous episodes of the Rapid Climb, down there, playlist, check it out. If you want to see my full Vienna guide, so you can learn to play the Vienna for yourself, video up here. It's a very good guide. Check it out if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.